Welcome to the channel, everyone. Today I'm getting the newly rebuilt NP205 transfer case back in the truck. Hopefully in a few minutes. I got my gasket on the back here. This is the 8-bolt NP205. You notice I got studs in there instead of bolts. I think that's just going to help me out getting everything lined up, getting this bolted on. You can do it with bolts. I've done it with bolts, but I had to struggle a little bit last time when I did one of these, so I figured let's try the studs and see how that works. And all the newer stuff has studs, I believe, because it's just easier. So I got to get this thing rolled up onto or under the truck here. This is where we're going. The adapter, I got my deal in there, the little shaft that goes to the Turbo 350. It's splined. There's an O-ring that goes up in there, but this is where she's going to be bolted on. There is an O-ring right here. Make sure you get a new one. I got that lubed up, so it should slide in there fairly easily. So I'm going to get to getting this thing in. Okay, so we're getting close here to getting this thing in here. Okay, so this video is not working out real well for me. I actually forgot to hit the record button at one point. Once I figured that out, I was gonna do a like a little deal where I was sliding this onto the transmission, and that wasn't gonna happen. The new splines on that new input shaft are tight. It is super tight in the adapter shaft or whatever that goes through the transmission adapter to the transmission. It was really tight. I struggled like heck to get this transmission slid onto the adapter there. So yeah, so that didn't happen. There ain't going to be no video of this going on. It's on there. Actually, I brought the whole thing down so I could I actually had to hold the whole transfer case and kind of had to wiggle it back and forth to get it to go in. But anyway, you can see I got it all bolted up. The studs, I don't know if they helped me or hurt me, because I couldn't really move. I couldn't move the transfer case much. You know, once the studs engaged, there was no much wiggling. But got some grade 8 zinc plated nuts. I actually went with lock washers. I got a washer and a lock washer on here instead of the lock nuts that come with them studs. I think this is just easier way to do it, and as long as the lock nuts or lock washers are tight, This isn't going to come off. I don't see this coming off with 8 mounting bolts holding it on. But anyway, it looks awesome in here. One big step finally accomplished. Not sure how well the video's turning out down here, but one concern I do have now is the cross member that I installed. It looks awfully close to the output, so I'm gonna have to install it to see what's gonna go on with there. But if this wasn't a slip yoke, I think it would be a lot better. But because of that slip yoke, it's kind of pushing everything out further this way. So we'll see. Okay, so before I install that rear drive shaft, I actually, I guess what I call it, I refurbished this rear axle. I didn't put a new seal on the pinion like I did the front. So that's what I'm going to do now. First thing I do is I count the threads. I go on top here, count the threads that are showing, so you know how to put it back when you take it off. This one here wasn't very tight because I've been messing with it. And also I'm not sure how well that lock nut is working anymore. So I actually got a brand new nut as well for this thing. I also got new straps for this to hold the. And another thing is I got myself a new bearing. I got a new pinion bearing. I gotta get the other one out. I gotta get my new one out here. It's a Timken. It's a M88048 is what this bearing is. Just wanted to replace that to just to know that I got a good bearing there, kind of like I did the front. I gotta put some assembly lube on the bearing before I set it in there. So I got that one all full of grease. I'm gonna pull my old one out. It's kind of greasy right now. It doesn't look like it's bad or anything, but it ain't gonna hurt to put a new one on here. Oh, why is that so dang tight? Okay, so this video is not, this ain't working out for me very well. Again, I didn't press the record button while I was doing a bunch of this stuff. That bearing was a little tight, so what I ended up doing is I got my brass punch that I have. Had to kind of tap it down in there. It's the same part number as the one that come out. The one that come out was loose. I don't know. It's a Timken, should be quality bearing, but anyway, tapped it down in there. Got a brand new seal, and then the seal here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it doesn't really like sit flush. You think this lip would like sit flat against the axle, but it doesn't. The old one I took out was the same way, only it was all full of grease. So it actually looked like it was flat, but once I started messing with it, it was full of grease. There's a ridge inside here that stops this seal from going all the way down. So you can't pound it in further. I thought it was like a mistake or whatever, but I got a national bearing. It says Mexico on it. But yeah, so that's where I'm at now. And I want to get a little more lube on my seal here. I don't know, I wish I could have got some of that on video, but it is not working out for me tonight. I don't know what's going on, but everything seems to be going to crap on me. So we'll get this. We'll get that on there. Seal felt pretty good. Nice and tight. Got my washer here. Nice big thick washer here. I'm going to stick it on. Got my new nut. My new nut looks exactly the same as the other one. So we'll put that on there. That one's probably going to go on a lot harder because she's got a real, the lock thing isn't all wrecked, so I'm going to have to hammer that down. I almost forgot the part that I forgot to show you, or the part that I didn't hit the record button. I pounded the seal in with this tool I made. I think I made it for the front axle, and I just pounded it down with this. But yeah, we'll take this nut down. So that feels pretty good. She seems pretty tight too, so feels good. I had about two threads there, and that's what I got now. So I got it's got a little slop in it because, like I said, I didn't rebuild these axles. I kind of refurbished them. So they don't got all new bearings, they don't got all new gears, but you know what? They're gonna work for now. They're gonna work for a while. Later on, if I want to, I got everything else rebuilt. All I gotta do is rebuild the center section if I want to do that someday, and maybe I'll get to that. Anyway, this is done. I'm gonna pull my new straps off. Okay, so I got my drive shaft here, and you can see I got this like thing taped on it, and that's how I've been storing this thing so it doesn't get damaged. I've been storing it with this paper towel taped on it. So I think I might put a little bit of lube on this. Just so she's not dry. Now my hands are all greasy, which is great. That ain't gonna help me install this. I don't know if you guys are gonna see that. This is not going good. Had a paper towel in there. My gosh. You know, that's the kind of stuff you gotta be careful of, guys. That could ruin your day. Luckily, that caused enough resistance. Get my bolts. I get my straps on my deal here. It looks like I'm going to have trouble. I got all new U-joints in this drive shaft, guys. I've done drive shafts and U-joints before. Check out, you go to my channel, search for it. You can see what I did exactly, or see how I do it. Okay, so I had to drop this thing on the ground to check my clearance on this drive shaft, and there is a ton of room. I mean, that rear axle would have to go, it'd have to go way up. It'd have to go way up for that drive shaft to ever hit that cross member. And actually, because I got the little lift on there, I'm gonna put some bigger bump stops. I just got the factory ones bolted on, but I'm gonna put some bigger ones on there. So one thing I actually have thought about back here is actually making a little bracket that would probably bolt onto the U-bolts there, and it would come out, and I could put like an airbag that would go up to the bump stop mount. I wouldn't need a huge airbag. I'm not hauling a ton with this truck, but I thought, you know, if I ever towed my mower, or even if I towed my Ranger, I wouldn't have any sag. I could pump the air up and keep the thing level. But yeah, we'll see about that. Okay, so getting ready to install my front drive shaft. I got it cleaned up, painted. I didn't put any joints in this thing. I bought joints, but after I cleaned it up, it looks like this thing had been rebuilt not that long ago, and everything looked good, felt good. So I just cleaned it up, painted it, put a new greaser in there, and we're gonna go with this. So as much as I put it in 4-wheel drive, it'll be fine for me. But before I install that, I actually I'm gonna change my pinion washer on this transfer case. When I rebuilt this thing, this is the washer that came with the transfer case, and it looks horrible. It might just be a regular washer. It's all deformed. But what I did was I went on Amazon quick, did a search for pinion washers, and I come up with this thing. This thing is way thicker. It's a little bigger, which is what I need. This thing is too small and it just kind of wallers around in there while you tighten the nut, because it doesn't fit up tight against the thing like it's supposed to. This is it's a genuine GM part, and it was like the only one I could get on 2-day shipping, so I just went with it, and it goes in there. It's a little big. The hole in the center is a little big, but I think it's gonna work fine because that washer is so dang thick. The nut's fine. Nut is a locking nut. It's fine, but that washer, I just couldn't bring myself to leave that in there. So we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna put this nice heavy duty. It's a real pinion washer, and we're going to torque that on there. Now the book's telling me 200 foot-pounds for that yoke nut. That's pretty hard to do, so I'm just going to get out the big old D-Walt. I call that Big D, and we're going to hammer that sucker on there till she's nice and tight. Should be plenty good. So yeah, I'm going to get that hammered on there. I feel so much better having a decent washer on there. And then we're going to get to getting that drive shaft in there. The joys of hot rodding, guys. Problems with this front drive shaft. Okay, so first thing I noticed was the other side. I can't spin the drive shaft right now, but the other side is missing a clip. So that's the first thing I noticed. So I was trying to work on that, but I got bigger problems than that. Actually, the grease thing is on the wrong side. The grease thing needs to go towards the back. So if someone's got the grease thing facing towards the axle, you can't have it towards the axle. You got to go away from the axle. Again, that's not the biggest deal. That joint could be flipped around. You can see right here the splines have actually ripped out of this deal. So those splines are not supposed to be visible. Those splines are supposed to be inside here, and there's like a seal. This is screwed on. This thing is screwed on here, and there's a seal in there, and these splines are supposed to stay inside that. So it looks like I don't know, an inch or something too short. This drive shaft was in this truck. Didn't have a lift kit on it. Of course, if the lift kit needed a drive shaft, why isn't that set, or why ain't that an option? I don't know. Yeah, I've got grade 8 zinc plated bolts holding this thing on. I went with 1.5 inches. They're 7/16, 1.5 inches. That's what I pulled out. I can clearly see they're about 1/2 inch too long. So I need 1 inch 7/16 to actually bolt this on. So this thing's got to come back out. We don't really have a drive shaft, guys, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I got to measure this to see what I need. Probably need a little more than this, because this is fully drooped. It'd be fully drooped, but I guess it can come down a little more. So maybe you want a little more play than that. So I got to measure this, see what the deal is. And yeah, I don't know what the remedy is, but this is what happens when you start customizing. Nothing seems to fit quite right. Just about everything needs some massaging. So had the drive shaft in, but it's got to come back out, and I got to figure something else out. Okay, so I'm pulling this front drive shaft out. Give you a better look at them bolts. See how they're sticking out way too long. I think 1 inch is all you need for that. I think the body was on when I took these off. Apparently they're not factory bolts that I took out. So anyway, I'll get some probably 1 inchers. I got time now. the dry shaft took grease real nice, and yeah, when I raised it up, that's kind of when I discovered the problem. Now I had this problem. I did a 79 Chevy 4-wheel drive way back, way before YouTube, and had a similar issue. That time I installed the dry shaft and I didn't notice that it wasn't long enough, and I think I wrecked the splines or something down there, running it like that. And I had a guy, we used to have a dry shaft guy, I don't know, 10 miles away or something, and he was really good. He rebuilt the dry shaft, really good price, all new joints and everything. So that was lengthened it. So this one's either got to be lengthened, or I'm gonna have to get another one from somewhere. Maybe I'll call a custom shop and just get a whole new dry shaft. I don't know. Rear dry shaft seems to be all right. I just greased that. It looks like it's the right length to me. I don't see where it looks any different than it was before, but something's odd with this front dry shaft, so we'll get it figured out, I guess. Okay, so I'm filling up my rear axle. I'm actually using this Royal Purple Max Gear synthetic 7590. The old manual is calling for 8090 in the axles and the transfer case. I don't know if they have 8090 much anymore. It's pretty much 7590 for everything. So that's what I'm doing. This stuff, this has a posi rear axle in it, and this Royal Purple has an additive for posi rear ends, so you don't got to add anything, which is a good thing. I don't know if this posi still works. It probably don't, but it's got the additive. If it does work, it's got the additive, so it won't tear it up. Got a whole case of this stuff. So yeah, I'm going to get the axles filled up. I might wait on that front axle to see what the front drive shaft does. But I'm probably going to do the rear axle here and then the transfer case. You see my helper is laying down on the job. So I actually filled everything with fluid. I put 2 quarts in the rear axle. The transfer case took 2.5, and then the front axle took maybe almost 2. Now keep in mind, I have aluminum covers that I believe they have extra capacity, or they allow more capacity than the factory. I know the rear one is. The front one, yeah, like I said, it almost took 2 quarts, I believe. So, yeah, everything is, well, everything but the transmission. The motor's got oil in it. Transmission doesn't have oil in it, but just kind of running through, turning my axles, getting grease in there. I put assembly lube and stuff in the axle, in the axles and everything in the transfer case, but I just like getting them filled with fluid. So yeah, 6 quarts. I didn't have quite enough, about half a quart shy. I had to dig into my stash from my new truck. But we got her full of fluid. So another kind of little job checked off the list. So I was going to install my JB custom fab twin stick conversion. Well, I already installed the rails, but I got to install the levers here. I was going to do that in this video, but I don't think it's getting pretty long, so I think I'm just going to cut it. And then next time, or I'll make another video, guys, of this. It's not too complicated, I don't think. It just you can see there's a few parts here, but yeah, I guess that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you.